Hello my dear children, good morning to all. Welcome back to class 12 macroeconomic class. We were discussing chapter number 3, determination of income and employment. In the previous class we have discussed about the first dimension of determination of income and employment, that is aggregate demand. So what do you mean by aggregate demand? Aggregate demand means the total demand for goods and services in an economy in a year of time. Then it has two components. They are consumption expenditure and investment expenditure. Then we have discussed about consumption, linear consumption function, and also investment function. Today we are going to discuss the second dimension of determination of equilibrium level of income, that is aggregate supply. So what do you mean by aggregate supply? Aggregate supply refers to the estimated money value of all the final goods and services produced by all the producer in an economy during a given period of time. Okay. So according to Professor Keynes, aggregate supply as the minimum price at which all the entrepreneurs are willing to sell their product at a given level of employment. That is known as aggregate supply. So aggregate supply is the estimated money value of all the final goods and services produced by all the producer in an economy during a given period of time. So it refers to as the national income of the country, because it is the money value of all goods and services produced in a year. So national product or national income, which is our national income? NNPFC equals the sum total of factor income, that is generated domestically and from abroad. Thus, we can define aggregate supply as national income or national product. So aggregate supply is equal to national product or is equal to national income. Then the aggregate income is either spent or saved. Thus, total factor income or the aggregate supply can be described as the sum total of consumption expenditure and saving expenditure. Thus, we may say that aggregate supply is equal to income, that is equal to C plus S, that is consumption plus saving. Okay. So the components of aggregate supply is consumption expenditure and saving expenditure. Okay. In the last class, we have discussed about the consumption function. So today we are going to discuss about saving function. So saving function. Saving is defined as an excess of income over consumption expenditure. Okay. Saving is the excess of income over consumption expenditure. In simple words, it is that portion of income which is not consumed or may be put to use at some future point of time. So some economists have also called it postponed consumption. So saving is otherwise known as postponed consumption, that is used for the future consumption. So symbolically, saving is expressed as S is equal to Y minus C, because Y is equal to C plus S, that is income is equal to consumption plus saving. So savings is equal to income minus consumption. Okay. So savings depends upon income and also consumption depends upon income. As consumption, saving also depends upon income. So S is equal to the function of Y. Here S is the aggregate saving, then Y is the level of income, and F of means function of. So saving function means the functional relationship between income and savings. And this saving function derived from consumption function. Because consumption and also saving is the function of income. Both are the function of income. Then the saving function derived from consumption function. So we can express the saving function from consumption function as follows. So we know that what is the equation of saving? S is equal to Y minus C. Then here Y is income, then C is consumption. So what is the consumption function? C is equal to C dash plus BY that we have studied the last class. So we can substitute this equation instead of C. So we will get S is equal to Y minus C dash plus BY. Then remove the bracket. We can write S is equal to Y minus C dash minus BY. Okay. So it again written as minus C dash, that is minus C dash plus 1 minus B into Y, where S is equal to saving, minus C dash is equal to dissaving or negative saving. C dash is the autonomous consumption, minus C dash is equal to dissaving or negative saving. Then 1 minus B is equal to marginal propensity to save. B, small letter B indicate marginal propensity to consume. Then 1 minus B indicate marginal propensity to save, and Y is equal to given level of income. So you can see a diagram on the screen. So saving curve is a straight line curve originated from below origin. That is, shaded areas represent negative saving or dissaving. That portion, that is from 0 to S1, is that portion is indicates the negative or dissavings. That is otherwise known as negative C dash. Okay, this portion is the negative C dash. Then saving is 0 and is defined as break-even point. So at any point to right of E1, that is, this is a break-even point. That means S is equal to 0, which means consumption is equal to income. So there is 0 savings. So any point right of E1 represent savings. Okay, this portion represent savings, and 1 minus B represent marginal propensity to save or slope of saving curve. Okay, so what do you mean by marginal propensity to save? Before that, we have to know about propensity to save. What do you mean by propensity to save? The relationship between income and saving at a different level of income is defined as the propensity to save. It is similar to propensity to consume. So, as propensity to consume, there are two ways of measuring propensity to save. They are average propensity to save and marginal propensity to save, APS and MPS. So, first one, average propensity to save. So, the term average represents value per units. That means average propensity to save is defined as the ratio between total income and total savings. Thus, to measure the average propensity to save, that is APS, is equal to total savings divided by total income. So, what is APC? That is total consumption divided by total income. As APC, APS is equal to total savings divided by total income. That is APS is equal to S by Y. So, it is estimated at a given level of income and can be calculated as total saving in proportion to the corresponding level of total income. Okay. The next is marginal propensity to save. So as we discussed earlier, the term marginal in economics refers to change in a variable due to 1 unit of additional change in the other variable. So under MPS, the first variable is saving expenditure, whereas the other variable is income. So we can define marginal propensity to save as a measure of the rate at which savings change as income changes. In other words, MPS measure the relationship between change in savings expenditure with respect to a given change in the income. So it is also called the slope of saving function. So what is the slope of saving function? Marginal propensity to save. So what is the slope of consumption function? Marginal propensity to consume. Then the slope of saving function is marginal propensity to save. Okay. Symbolically we can written as MPS is equal to change in savings divided by change in income. That is MPS is equal to delta S by delta Y. Here delta S means change in savings, that is equal to S2 minus S1. Here S2 is the new level of savings, S1 is the original level of saving. Then delta Y is equal to Y2 minus Y1, whereas Y2 is equal to new level of income and Y1 is equal to original level of income. Okay. It is similar to marginal propensity to consume. Here it is change in savings to change in income. That is the difference. Students, is there any relationship between APC and APS and MPC and MPS? Okay. Both consumption and savings are direct or positive function of money income. So therefore it is possible to establish a well-defined relationship between propensity to consume and propensity to save. So the relationship between APC and APS. The sum of average propensity to consume, that is APC, and average propensity to save, APS, is always equal to 1. That means APC plus APS is equal to 1. Okay? Mathematically, we can prove these relations. So, APC is equal to C by Y and APS is equal to S by Y. So, Y is equal to C plus S. We already know income is equal to consumption plus saving. So, C by Y plus S by Y is equal to C plus Y divided by Y. Okay. So, what is C plus S? It is Y. So, Y by Y is equal to 1. So, hence we may conclude that APC plus APS is equal to 1. Okay. Then, what is the relationship between MPC and MPS? So, that sum total of marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save is always equal to unity. That is, MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. It is because MPC shows the ratio of change in consumption to change in income, that is delta C by delta Y, whereas MPS shows the ratio of change in saving to change in income, that is delta S by Y. So, increased income could again be spent either on consumption or can be saved. Okay. So, the income, an economy or a person spend their income either for consumption or for saving. So, symbolically we can written as MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y and MPS is equal to delta S by delta Y. So, Y income is equal to consumption expenditure plus saving expenditure. So, delta Y is equal to change in consumption expenditure plus change in saving expenditure. So, delta MPC plus MPS equal to delta C by delta Y plus delta S by delta Y. So, delta C we can also written as delta C plus delta S whole divided by delta Y. So, delta C by delta S is equal to delta Y, then already there delta Y. So, delta Y divided by delta Y is equal to 1. So, MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. So, this relationship can be explained with the help of a schedule. So, here suppose the autonomous consumption is 40, that is C dash is equal to 40, then marginal propensity to consume is equal to 0.6. Then the consumption and saving at different levels of income can be estimated. Okay. So, what is the autonomous consumption? That is 40. What do you mean by autonomous consumption? That is a consumption at 0 level of income. So, if autonomous consumption is 40 and marginal propensity to save, that is 0.6. So, we can estimate consumption function from linear consumption function equations that we have already done in the previous class. So, if we get consumption expenditure from various levels of income, we can calculate savings. So, how can we calculate saving? So, saving is equal to Y minus C. So, at zero level of income, the consumption is 40, that is autonomous consumption. So, 0 minus 40 is equal to minus 40. Then, if income is 100, consumption is 100. By using the formula, we can find out the consumption function. So, if we get income and consumption, we can calculate savings by 100 minus Y minus C. So, 100 minus 100, that is 0. Then 200 minus 160, 40. Then 300 minus 220, 80. Then 400 minus 280, 120 and on. Then if we get income, consumption and saving, we can calculate APC, APS, MPC, MPS, etc. So, what is APC? C by Y. So, in the first case, all are nil. APC, APS, MPC, MPS, etc. are nil because income is 0. That in the if income is 100, what is the consumption? Consumption is also 100. So, saving. So, if consumption is equal to say income, automatically saving is 0. Then APC. APC is equal to C by Y. That is 100 divided by 100, that is 1. Then what about MPS? MPS is the saving by income. S by Y, that is 0 by 100, that is 0. Then MPS is equal to delta C by delta Y. So here delta C is 100 minus 40, that is 16. Then delta Y is equal to 100 minus 0, that is 100. That is 60 divided by 100 is equal to 0.6. Then what about MPS? MPS is the delta S by delta Y. Here delta S is negative 40. That is 0 minus 40. 0 divided by 40. Then income is 100 minus 0, 100. So, we can get 0.4. Then we can calculate the whole APS, MPS, MPC, MPS from given income, consumption and saving. We can fill the table with the calculation by using the formula of APC, MPS, MPC, MPS, etc. Okay. So this table makes the relationship between APC, APS, MPC and MPS. Clear? So APC plus APS is equal to 1. We calculate 1 plus 0, APC plus APS, that is column number 4 and 5. If we add column number 4 and 5, we get 1. That is 0.1 plus 0, 1. 0.80 plus 0.20, 1. Then 0.73 plus 0.27, it is 1. So if we add APC and MPS, APC with MPS, we will get 1. Then APC falls. Here in this table, APC falls with rise in income. At the same time, APS rises in falls in income. At the same time, MPC and MPS remain unchanged. They are stable throughout because it is a linear consumption and saving function. That's why MPC and MPS remain unchanged. It is stable throughout. At the same time, if we add MPC plus MPS, we will also get 1. Okay students, that was today's section. Today we have discussed about aggregate supply and one component of aggregate supply, that is saving function. So saving is the function of income. Then it derived from consumption function because both are the function of income. So S is equal to Y minus C. Saving is equal to income minus consumption. That means saving means an excess of income over consumption expenditure. And also we have studied about marginal propensity to save and average propensity to save. Then the relationship between marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save, and average propensity to consume and average propensity to save, etc. So we have to explain more about this topic. So we will continue this topic in the next class. So children, as usual, you have to watch the URL, attend the test paper, download your notes and study it well. See you in the next class. Bye.